Hello, folks, and welcome back for another edition of Retake, our CSGO podcast. My name is Vivek. With me is our guest of the day, Adi. We've also got Gambita in house, CSGO writer, joining us. For those of you that don't know, I mean, you know what? I'm not going to introduce Adi. If you don't know him, it too bad for you. But Adi can probably tell us a little better what exactly he does at ESL.
Hey Vivek, thanks. It's nice to be here. Yeah, and I guess if they don't know me, this podcast will help them,
Get
you
to know
know,
you better.
get to know me anyway. Yeah, so for the ESL, for like I work at Nodwin Gaming basically, and I'm the product head for the ESL India Premiership, and also I do a lot of community management for them, and I also am a CS:GO analyst and a caster. So yeah, that's about it. I have basically three roles in the company because since I think people might have discussed this with you as well. As an analyst, as talent, right? If for being a full-time talent in a company, that you sit with a lot of dead hours, so to speak. You would be working for maybe 1 or 2 hours a day, except for maybe a finale day, right, where you're working throughout the day.
Hmm.
So it's always a good thing to give them some other responsibility as well.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's why we came into giving, like, that's why Akshat and Gautam decided to make me the product head for the premiership as well.
Okay. Okay. And yeah, it's New Year at the Premiership. Uh, Folks, just tuning in, I'm probably going to break down this podcast into a couple of segments. The first is going to be about Adi's past and professional Counter-Strike, and then we'll be moving into the juicy stuff. We've got a couple of audience questions regarding ESL as well that have been sent in advance. Just one, actually. I'm going to shoot that over to Adi. But I'm going to start out. I mean, some of you may know that Adi did play for Brutality back in its prime, and he's been around since donkey's years in the world of Counter Strike and Indian esports. How did your journey start, and how did you get into professional competitive Counter Strike?
Yeah, donkey's years is actually correct. I actually started competitive Counter Strike back in 2004.
Hmm.
My first tournament was actually the under 16s in the WCG 2004. It was Counter Strike Conditions Zero at the time, and it was a random thing. We just found out about it last minute, and we made it team with all my friends in school,
Uh-huh.
like a couple of friends from school and a couple of his friends and stuff like that. And we just made a team, and we ended up coming. Actually, we ended up winning the under 16s. 2004, yeah, the WCG 2004. But of course, we weren't playing against the acids and there was an ATE at the time. There was acid, there was NSD,
Okay.
things like that. We weren't playing against them.
I,
We were playing
I I
against the under
I
16s. Yeah.
remember this very clearly. I mean, Acid was the team before ATE, and
Yeah.
there's this guy who ran this cafe in Andheri, Bittu. That
Yeah.
Acid, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That acid.
Condition zero also. I mean, one of the
Some
least
worst
trim.
iterations. Yeah. One of
I,
the worst iterations of Counter Strike.
I don't know why pros hate and love certain editions. But for me, I loved Condition Zero, but just because you could hit headshots at will. It was the easiest, dumbest version of Counter Strike because I don't know. So you know this, Adi. Back in the day, सब लोग cafe में, अरे this cafe doesn't have good registry. This cafe doesn't have good registry. My shots aren't registering. But
Yeah, so usually like those complaints were always made even when we were playing like क्या PC क्या, like, what a fuck all PC क्या है ये, like, like screw this shit. So we always the all that thing was always there, and I think it's even there right now.
yeah.
Like you always blame something else. You blame, even if you're playing online, you blame a so strong server, or you blame the variance, or you blame, I don't know, a fly which flew past your
Uh,
screen and distracted you.
okay.
There's always, we call it CL underscore excuses. When we were a professional gamer and somebody said something, even if it was your teammate, we would be like CL underscore excuse one for lag, CL underscore excuse two would be, distraction, something like that. We actually had a number for every excuse.
I'm just going to leave a small tidbit here. I've observed some Indian Counter-Strike teams up close, and I saw a team break down because two players had varying opinions on what the air conditioning should be like. They
Sorry,
stopped.
what?
Yeah, I saw this
I
at a
don't.
LAN. I saw this at a LAN.
Which LAN is this? I mean, I
I
don't.
mean,
How am I not
if
privy
I
to
tell
this?
you which LAN it is, you'll probably guess which team it is. But it's Extremes LAN, Zawi Extremes LAN, last year.
Okay. Interesting. I don't remember this, so it obviously wasn't. my
Uh,
team, because
it
I
was
was
a,
there
no,
in the
no, no.
quality.
Last year at
No,
China.
last year, not last to last. Oh, yeah, yeah, China. Okay.
Then you know. I mean, we can't
Mm.
give them a name because we know that as well. Uh, CL underscore excuses. I mean, Counter Strike was so different back then. The scene was much more homey. Like, I mean,
Mm.
homely rather, not homey.
Yeah.
Just like this podcast. There's my brother playing Borderlands in the background. Gambit looks like he's selling heroin on the side. Very homey vibe over here.
Yeah. Yeah, and
What
I'm as well. I'm at somebody else's house, not even my own, because I am in
exactly?
Gurgaon right now for the Premiership.
I
So
I
yeah,
miss those lands, but I'm sure you've taken part in many of them. Can you share
yeah.
what was your one most vivid memory from any one of those lands back in the day?
So oh my god, this is the most vivid memory. It was back in 1.6. It was I can't get the year right. It was probably 2005. So at that time I was playing for a team called DF. So it was Destructive Force. It was actually a team. This was just before I joined the then D5, which was actually Vaz Pexer and their brother Vinay, whose nickname I think was Caution at the time. Uh, and just before that I was in the team DF, and there was a lot of players from the Private Eye Cafe in Villeparle.
Hmm.
I don't know if
Mhm.
you remember that cafe. It
Yeah,
was right near
yeah,
Villeparle
Near
station,
Mitibai.
and
yeah,
yeah,
near
so
Miti Bhai, yeah.
so a lot of the AT guys also played from there. Rushkan, Iceman was also there. So yeah, like basically there was a guy called Bimal Dhorda. I can't forget, I forget his nickname now, basically. So he was in the team. There was a guy called Stomped in our team as well, Rohit Mangtani, and there was a guy Kedar from Thane. So it was kind of a all Bombay team, in fact, like a greater Mumbai team, because I was from town as well, and one of our players, can't for the love of me remember what the fifth player was, but this was in the Energy Cafe at Vadala, and it was quite. This is vivid because I was actually playing on one corner, and we were playing against ATE. Then ATE, the Acid had renamed themselves to ATE.
Mm.
Of course, there was the Ben Ray, and they also had who's the big tall fat guy, man? I forget his name. Do you guys know who I'm talking about in Acid and ATE? In the early
Poker F?
iteration of ATE? No, 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 early, way
Oh,
before Poker F was even born, man.
uh, they don't.
I forget his name. I don't know why. It's Stalker Attacks. I think, yeah, that was his nicknames.
I
Attacks.
yeah.
He's a really tall, big guy. Anyway,
Oh,
so
okay.
this was 2005 for sure, actually. So uh, the guy stomped. Okay, this is a local land tournament. Like you pay $500 per team, and you enter, and winner takes all sort of thing. And
Mhm.
there were basically 16 teams or something like that. And this is the first day, and it was about the third game or something. It was a double elimination, so I don't remember the brackets, but basically stomped was cheating on LAN. Like the guts on that guy, man. Kedar and Stomped, actually, both of them. Stomped and
I have to.
Like cheating as in looking behind and
aim. No, 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 no.
oh,
Aimbotting.
hacking. Okay,
Yeah, hacking.
Okay,
okay.
Aimbotting on LAN.
one
So
second, guys. This has become normal in CS:GO, but back in 1.6, no one really hacked.
yeah, no, this is like this takes a different sort of balls, right? Like you have to have like really big balls to hack on LAN,
Yeah.
and
So
so these two
Stomp is in your
guys.
team, right?
Yeah, correct. So it
Okay.
was Stomped and Kedar and Bimal and me and one more. I was fully to the right. Okay, like if you're looking at us from behind, I was fully to the right. Bimal was in the center. Stomped was to his left, and the full far left was Kedar. Now, we actually still lost that game, by the way, 16-14. It was on Inferno. But eventually, so we left for the day and whatever. And these guys were just, the 80 guys were like, they were just, they went back, looked at the demo. And they were like, dude, these guys are just hitting some nutty ass shots, man. And then there was this one shot where he was coming down shelter. Okay, it was Stomped, or it was Kedar, actually. I'm not sure. It was one of them. They were coming down shelter, yeah, mid to right, and then you look straight at pit, and then below the balcony there was a crate, right, where there was a gap. If you remember
Yeah.
correctly, I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
1.6 map.
I
So there was
remember
this
Inferno.
crate,
Yeah.
and there was a little sliver. So he was aiming straight down at one player, and they had a double pit setup at the time, and he was shooting the first guy who was in the center of the screen, and the aim snapped to the gap because that player was closer, and it auto aimed and shot the guy who was closer in that gap, and then snapped back and auto aimed and killed that guy. So this was caught through the demo. This is what they realized, and then there were quite a few fist fights involved. And fortunately, I actually had school or college or something. I think I had college on that day, and I couldn't actually go. And Stormed and Kedar actually went the next day, and yeah, they got slapped around a little bit. And the other guys from AT were actually convinced that it was me who orchestrated all of this because I'm good with computers and tech. So it was good that I didn't go that day because I would have probably gotten the most beaten up until Storm 10 Kedar finally owned up to it. So yeah, but they did own up to it, and they did say that these guys had no idea and whatever, and we did it for fun. That's why we didn't beat you guys and everything. That's why it was 16-14. We just wanted to make it a show as such. So
I
yeah, that is my most vivid memory. And yeah, this is the thing about disorganized Counter Strike, right? And this is also about the Valve anti-cheat at that time. It's a piece of shit. It even now is a piece of shit. But
Yep.
I'm glad the So Strong's working on their own anti-cheat, and I think they are in the testing phase. So we should see it pretty soon.
Yeah, there is uh, only good inside news, and I think you'll see it when it comes out. Uh,
Yeah.
I
So basically, yeah, like after that, I thought I'll just follow on, right? After the 1.6, actually in 2006, I sort of retired from the scene. I moved on to Counter Strike Source actually after that. So I wasn't there in the 1.6 scene at all in 2006 to 2010. Uh, and then we had the first Counter Strike Source tournament in 2011. So that's when I played comparatively again because I was also concentrating on my college at the time.
right. That
So
that was ICGC, right?
yeah, ICGC 2011. I played for Trademark Gaming. I that is also a very vivid memory because I had I had three aces that game. It was nuke.
Whoa.
I had three on T side. I had three aces that game. I had two for quad kills, and we still lost that game 16-12. So I was really disappointed with my teammates.
Wait.
Fortunately, it was in Goa, so I could drown my sorrows in alcohol.
Yeah, I was there that event. I remember
Yeah.
40 bucks a beer. Nodwin's first
Oh,
event.
it was cheaper, man. Maybe it was $40 in that Palmarina
Hotel.
resort. I even
Yeah.
remember the name. Yeah.
I
So
don't
we
remember the
actually
name.
went
I
to.
remember the pool and I
Yeah,
remember everybody jumping into it. That
yeah, I wasn't there for that day. I made myself scars for the last day.
oh, okay.
Uh, and yeah, I mean, I remember this cafe infant area where it was actually $100 for 5 Budweisers, and yeah, that was actually cheaper than the MRP of a wine shop.
Yeah.
So we were just sitting there the whole time, and they said this is only allowed if you order 300 rupees worth of food. And I was like, okay, man, that's fine. Like,
And the food
so
was good as well.
yeah,
I
the food
I,
in infant area was actually
I I
pretty good.
remember going there for breakfast. Anyway, Fort Beverly's a Goa. I think you played that tournament with Prashant.
So no, that was 2011. So it was CSS. So with Prashant, I played. So that's when so CS Go came out in 2011. The beta came out in 2011 end, and 2012 the game was out. And that time I was actually playing for TMG still. And then actually Prashant, who I think you've had earlier on one of these podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Has he actually called me up and he was like, bro, I'm playing for Flux, why don't you play with me? And for me at that time it was a no-brainer because I used to look up to Prashant a lot because as soon as even in Counter-Strike Source, right, it was a very small community, and we used to play on Singapore servers because the Indian servers were way too expensive to have. So the Indian data centers were way too expensive, so the server providers never really had anything in India. So we used to play on Singapore servers, and Prashant was in Singapore at the time. So it was a really small community that time as well. And yeah, at that time in TMG, we used to play against a couple of teams, and we played a couple of tournaments as well. And we did actually beat Singapore's best team at the time. It was,
Okay.
it was Attitude, CS:GO. Go. But yeah, I used to look up a lot to Prashant, so it was a no-brainer for me. It was basically like, why not? Like you want me to play for you? It's like, yeah, sure. And yeah, I mean, a lot of my teammates in TMG were cheesed off by that, but they got over it eventually. And yeah, we won that tournament, so no complaints. We won that tournament against U5, which was actually half of ATE Gaming as well. So
Okay. So you said you first played for WCG in 2004, 2005.
yeah.
That was before 80 and during acid. Uh, did you ever take part in 1.6 versus 80? What were results like back then?
It was like they were unbeatable, to be honest. Like the only team who would ever come close to ATE was NSD. And eventually, I think by 2008 or 9, Brutality came up, right? And I think even a couple of the Brutality guys played for ATE
80. Yeah.
or Scorchers or something at one point. So that was interesting as well. Venom was telling me a story actually the other day about how they thought that Venom was hacking on LAN as well, because he just came out of nowhere. These guys like Rix and Juventa and Ankit, like Venom came out of nowhere, and they sort of wrecked house and completely shook up the scene. So I remember back then as well the whole unorganized thing, right? Uh, I think even from 2004, uh, there were massive delays. Obviously, it's not even like how it is now, where 20 minutes delay and people rage, right? Like you can see chat when we're stretching out the studio segment of the Premiership, right? The chat will be like, "What the hell are you doing? Get into the game!" Like the only reason we are still on the desk is because the game is not ready.
Right.
So we will go to the game as soon as it's ready, right? But imagine back then, the games were delayed 2 hours, 3 hours. Broadcasting was never really a possibility, right? As well.
I
So
Yeah, I remember. I don't know. I played a lot of the Zapak CS and Dota tournaments. I actually A Star used to be in a cafe next to mine, so we used to play with them often. A Star and Ritz. I mean, delays were just how things were done. I mean, I don't think until last year we had a concept of a smoothly run LAN.
yeah, I
Uh,
think uh, I think only last year winter was the smoothest run line. I think we were the most on time,
Yep,
except for
absolutely.
Clash Royale delaying us. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
on the last
uh,
day.
yeah, I think now things run extremely smoothly. Back then, I don't know what admins are doing. I don't know if there was a difference between an admin and an organizer. But it's clear that scheduling and the Dabbawalas were just a fluke for India. We can't do it in esports. I don't know what's the way forward.
I I disagree with that, but I think we can talk about that a
No,
little later when we do get into the ESL part of
oh
things.
yeah,
But
absolutely. By the way, ESL, I don't know. I mean, there aren't too many third party or like too many TOs that I have worked with as a caster, but
yeah,
the ESL stream always goes on time. I think there are variables. I mean, come on, a Dota game can go on for 2 hours. A CS game can go on for 1 hour 40 minutes.
yeah,
CS warm up can take 45 minutes. Timeouts can happen for whatever reason because people have internet issues, because the server's down, because variants, whatever. But it's all CL
yeah.
underscore excuse, and we always try and get better whenever the next tournament comes up.
Yeah, I mean it's a process, right?
Yeah,
The main thing is that even your production team and everyone, they get better eventually, right? You get better with practice, and that's the main thing. Like
right.
as even the tournament organizers get better with practice. It's not just like how gamers are.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean back to 2012, right? So yeah, that was the first CS:GO tournament I played. We won that, and I think since then CS has got a lot more organized. That's the best part about it. Like
I wanted to
tournaments are better.
the reason I brought up the old ATE is because I have to ask you this. If okay, what made old ATE so good that they were going abroad and taking maps of other teams? I think
I mean, they
maybe the current teams can learn something from them if there is something to learn.
So no, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you why. This can also go into the fact that where you asked earlier, right? Why do you stated earlier that a lot of people are have strong opinions about the different versions of Counter Strike.
Right,
So CS 1.6 was basically about two things. It was about aim, like how good your mechanical aim was,
right.
and your communications. That's it. That is all that that game was. And when CSS came in, it was all about your strategy. It was nothing. You could aim with your penis and get a headshot. Like that was how simple Counter Strike's sources aiming was. So that's why a lot of the 1.6 players could not adapt to it because it was more strategic. And that's why now CS:GO, they had to adapt to it because it brings in both the things, right? It rewards mechanical aim, and it also rewards strategic play. So that's why Counter-Strike Go is definitely miles ahead of 1.6 and CSS at any given moment. And I think they've picked the best components of 1.6 and Counter-Strike Source and brought it into like a game which tells you like how the competitive scene is still growing, right? And it tells you why it's paramount to that fact that the game is so well done, like so well done. So yeah, back then, I think even now
But
Indians are really.
why do you
Yeah,
say 1.6 was all aim and no strategy? Because I mean, I've seen people do run boosts. I've seen people do all of
yeah,
that
I
in
mean, see, that's a gimmick. You do a run boost once or twice, right? You
or
don't do it all
boosts
the
or
time.
I mean, but the map hasn't changed, right? Like how is the map
Yeah.
changed so it's more strategic?
So it's
Yeah, I
it's
know
not about the map. It's
I know utility is more rewarded in CS:GO than 1.6.
yeah.
Uh, I can I think that's definitely one change. I know CS 1.6 was definitely very aim driven, much more aim driven than CS:GO. Uh, but what made it so much more tactical? Do you think the community started looking at the players started becoming more tactical, or something changed that really made CS:GO so tactical?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll go back to why Acid was so good at 1.6, right? And it's a thing about all Indians. Actually, a lot of players in the Indian community, especially in the Masters League right now in the Premiership, are very mechanically gifted. Their movement is on point, and their aim is just godly, things like that. And in 1.6, because you were rewarded only based on your aim, that's why the Indian player teams actually went abroad and started winning things as well, started taking maps off opponents. But then on the flip side, in Counter Strike Go, you have to you're not rewarded just solely based on aim, because one well placed, so I think the only rewarding thing in 1.6 was a flash. Like one well placed flash would of course negate, you couldn't see, right? That's the thing. But in 1.6 you could still hear that the high pitched sound which
Yeah,
cancels out your footsteps, right, wasn't there in 1.6. So in 1.6 you could still rely on sound and spray down two opponents completely white.
yeah,
So that, like I said, like if you were mechanically gifted in 1.6, you were always going to be great. And Indian players are mechanically gifted, so that's why Acid actually started performing well. In Counter-Strike Go, we were forced to look towards strategic elements, like towards a strategic point of the game. I don't count myself, I when I was in Brutality, when I was in TMG, things like that, I never counted myself as a mechanically gifted player, even though a lot of people said that my aim is godlike. I never really wanted to ever rely on my aim. I always wanted to rely on being set up by a teammate, or even setting myself up with a well placed flash, or with just my movement or something like that. And I think that has been the problem for Indian teams, that learning curve between just relying on your skill versus relying on your teammate, on your team play, on your utility usage. Things like that have been lacking, and that's why I think the development and progress for Indian teams has actually been a bit stunted.
okay. So you think like like the I mean, if you had to sum it up in a very rough manner, the biggest change is the change to nades that changed and made Go so much
The
more tactical.
strategic, yeah, it's the strategic element of the game that Counter Strike Source brought into Go, right? That strategic element was never understood by the old guard, like at all.
Okay.
So I'm talking about the 80s, the acids, even a bit of brutality actually is has that issue. And even the
Uh,
Invictus currently has that same issue.
right.
And even if you look at the current lineup of AT Gaming, a couple of their players are the old guard, right, so to speak. So even they don't want to adapt, they don't want to change with the game. And the best example is SK, right? SK adapts to whatever's thrown at them, and that's what a team needs to be. You need to be able to initiate chaos, you need to be able to rely on your aim, just brute forcing ways. You need to be able to rely on set strategies, things like that. And I think the new teams like Too Easy and even the new entity roster, because they have so many young guns, right? I think they are playing Counter Strike the correct way, at least the basics correctly, because there is no real correct way to play Counter Strike. We've always said that, right? You could play wrong CS and still win the game, and that's still in a way that's still correct, right? Because you won the game. But the basics always have to be correct, trade fragging, and just your utility usage, your positioning, your communication. I'm sure Prashant talked about this as well. If these things are right, then you can build off that as a platform and then play however you need to play. You can insinuate chaos, you can play strategic things like that. So I think the new teams, I think especially the youngsters, are going to be really good, and I actually see a team like Too Easy and even the current entity making a mark in the Asian scene.
Okay. Um, I think this is going to be my last question on Counter-Strike, and then we'll move into the ESL part of the segment. And obviously, if Gambit has any questions on Counter-Strike, he can shoot as well. Um, uh, do you think that the old AT roster would stand a chance versus the current entity roster if they got together, warmed up? Huh?
Not at all.
Uh,
Not even a snowball's hell, like snowball's chance in hell sort of
okay,
thing. Like I don't even think they would get into double digits.
okay.
Like
It's interesting.
it's
I'm going to ask this question more often because I asked Amar this and Amar said, yeah, definitely. I don't know.
yeah. I've seen Amar play on So Strong as well. He still has some of his mechanical aim, but in a pug setting is very different to a match setting.
Yeah,
So
he did
it's
speak.
simple as that.
He did speak of the Cobex Masters, the online tournament where who did they play against? TMG.
Wait, yeah,
TMG. They played versus TMG and they took it into double overtime, and I think it was a good 1 hour,
they lost.
40-minute game or something. They lost?
Mhm.
I don't remember.
They lost, yeah.
Okay. Uh, Gambit, anything related to the CS past or Indian CS or Asian CS that you'd like to shoot about?
No, I don't really have too many CS related questions because
Okay.
I don't really play a lot of Counter Strike, about 200 hours.
Still more than me.
For shame. For shame.
I kind of deleted it as well.
Wow. What if you have to watch a game for, like maybe you have to review a demo for an article? You're gonna reinstall it?
Yeah,
Now
fair
that's a
enough.
bit of a time waste for mostly what is a 5 gig game.
I don't know, man. I think everybody's concerned as to what's sitting on their SSDs and they want as much space as possible on them. Like, like I don't know, like Nishant, he occasionally plays Overwatch, uninstalls Overwatch midway, plays PUBG, uninstalls PUBG midway. So everybody wants that SSD space well managed,
No,
it seems.
I think the thing is that I don't understand Counter Strike enough to actually look at a demo and make a judgment. I would rather look at stats and maybe the words and listen to what the casters are saying and then try to make an interpretation of that rather than watch a demo which doesn't make too much sense to me anyway.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. We're gonna move into the ESL part of this podcast, and I think the first question I wanted to ask you, Adi, is Adi frozen? Adi, have you
Yeah,
disconnected?
yes. Are these frozen?
Okay, Adi's in image right now. We're seeing JPEG Adi, and we aren't hearing him as well. I'm gonna quickly ping him to reconnect. Meanwhile, you guys can look into my surroundings. Don't ask me why I have a pink towel over there. Ah, shit. Adi's got to reconnect to the call. I'm going to put the wait screen. Me and Gambit will talk over it.
No,
Um,
he's back.
is he?
There's people behind him, Vivek. Maybe we can get them in instead of Adi.
I know. I know. I have the wait. I have the wait screen going, so don't
I'm
worry.
back. I'm back. Sorry about that.
Excellent. Uh, uh, Jesus.
Gurgaon, bro, internet sucks here, and he doesn't have a second internet as well for me to fall back on. So after this, my fallback would be 4G.
Okay. I mean, I've literally made everybody uh, switch off the internet at home, and I pay a lot of money for my internet connection. Even then, it's rubbish. But yeah, we're back. We can see Adi's face. And I'm going to move into the ESL part of this podcast. I think
Yep.
so. I watch. I pretty much watch all the CS I can at ESL, which is a good 70% or 80% of all the games played. Um, I think one
Hold
of
on, I'm lagging. I'm lagging again. Just one sec. Let me figure out what's happening.
I can hear you clearly. Are we lagging for you?
Yeah, you were. Let me just see if. Just give me like 10 seconds. Let me see if some
Okay.
shenanigans are happening with the router.
Okay.
I guess it's on Adi's end because I'm okay for you. I guess you're okay for me.
Yeah, I'm okay for you as well. Yeah. Um, you guys can admire my surroundings. I've got a pink towel there, a couple of hard disks, my camera all strewn across the bed. As you can see, there are a lot of
I'm back.
stickers and broken plaster. It's all my brother and his handiwork when he was 10 years old. But yeah, Adi's back. Um, so yeah, I mean, I try and catch as much CS as possible at
Yep.
ESL, and one of the things that I really like is I mean, I don't know what the word is, but I think the tech you use to break down the games.
Yep.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, that's I was bloody impressed when noticed it for the first time at ESL Delhi last year.
Yeah, so we actually I used it for the first time, I think in Dew Arena actually.
Hmm.
Uh, that was also in Delhi, but we were doing the studio segments from our Gurgaon studio itself, from our office.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so we used a software called Stats Helix.
Okay.
So what it basically does is there are two ways about it. It could either you could upload a demo to it, or it could latch on to your Go TV, and it would basically just record the game and parse it in a way where it just gives you a top view, and you could just see what's going on per round, every round at any given moment. We used it for our all our TV episodes as well, actually, when we were on D-Sport for the Premiership last year, right, for the fall and the winter season. All those games actually, half the games in each season went to TV. So yeah, we were doing. I think we were doing 28 matches per phase, 28 matches per season on TV. It was pretty difficult, but yeah, I think like it basically helped everyone understand the game easier. We actually only incorporated it because it was for TV, and because we were reaching out to an audience who wouldn't specifically understand Counter Strike, right, and wouldn't necessarily understand what we meant by, he smoked this off, he flashed this, etc. So we thought like using Stats Helix at that time would help. With the top down view, we could draw on the map, things like that, and it would help you explain in layman's terms basically what happened and where it happened in which round. And yeah, so I think it was a very good addition which we had, and unfortunately we don't have it this year because yeah, licensing. So but yeah,
Okay, so
but that was basically the tech.
it's a paid application.
Oh, it has a hefty fee. Let's leave it at that. Think of it as thousands and thousands of euros.
Okay.
So so that's why, like, last year we had it for a much better deal because they were in beta as well. But now they have asked for too much actually, which we can't really afford because we would rather have the price pool be higher than this thing. We are of course trying to improve our production in other ways. I don't know if you've seen. I mean,
I've
I know
seen.
you've seen it. I mean,
Yeah, but
even the
what?
Dota, draft. Like we've
Yeah, that's quite
aligned it with the
that.
ESL.
Yeah, that's quite huge actually. I mean, that's both me and Nishant were talking about that. The draft overlay, which is I don't know how you guys have done it. I'm pretty certain that you I I I, I don't know. Did you pay for that as well?
No, no,
In
it's in-game thing. But I'm not gonna share the specifics in case any competitor is watching.
Okay, okay,
But you can do it. Yes, it's actually so Gotham had actually gone to ESL1 Katowice, right? So he saw it there for the first time, and he was like, "I want this," and he's the one who got it done.
yeah.
So it's like once you think of it, it was pretty simple and pretty dumb, and we just there's just no documentation on it. It's literally a couple of commands, man. It's like there's just no documentation on it
Oh,
whatsoever.
okay,
But
okay,
but
okay.
it's a TI and an ESL trade secret as of now.
Yeah. You know, there's another TI trade secret that's being used at ESL.
Which is,
The camera control script.
I
No,
have no idea.
That the script we use to observe Dota. Dota has this inbuilt feature called assisted camera, which is used in TI and every other Valve event, and other events can use it as well if they know of it.
God.
Adi, you frozen again. Okay. If nothing else, we'll make a good PPT out of this one.
He's gone.
I'm back
Oh,
again.
you're back. You're back. Okay.
Yeah, the internet's a piece of crap here, man.
Okay. Shodak, ESL questions. You had one on viewership and storylines.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, why do you think the CS viewership is just going up and up and up? Like this season, we're much higher than last season, and last season itself was much higher than other games. Why do you think the viewership for CS is that high? Even though maybe the games you can't say like Indian teams aren't really at the stage of SEA teams, but in Dota they are competing with SEA teams. Why do you think even though the gameplay isn't that high, the viewership is?
I actually disagree. I think CS:GO this year looks a lot more promising. Like the gameplay, I think looks much better than it has in the recent past. And of course, teams are getting better. But I think most of the reasons, like the highest reason for viewership going up, I think, is obviously there is our marketing spend as well and things like that, right? I think our viewers are hundredfold, almost like 100, like maybe it'll be at a minimum 20 or 30 times higher than any other tournament you see on YouTube or Twitch in
Yep.
India. And but I think the other thing is, of course, the production quality. Like Gautam will always will swear by this. He thinks that the viewership is so high because people appreciate good production, and they will like to come back and watch a tournament every day if the production quality is really high. So that's what he swears by. But what I think is it's more about the fact that people are getting access to data now. A lot of our viewer base is actually from their phones, from their cell phones, and I think that's also because of Geo really helping us out, because they are giving you data for basically free, and because of that, the Vodafones and the Airtels and the incumbents have had to increase their data caps as well, right? And
Mhm.
that enables people to watch at any time, at any given location, at any time, wherever they want to, whenever they want to. And I think that is one of the major pushes, and that's why we've seen a lot of streamers get a lot more viewers as well. And even if you talk to their streamers, right, talk to any streamers, and if you ask them to look at their analytics, they'll be like more than 50% of our viewership comes from uh,
Mobile.
mobile. So I think that's one of the biggest changes. I think because of the telecom industry's internet boom, right? Basically because of Reliance coming in and fucking shit up for everyone. I think that's really bled over and helped us. And I think I've appreciated Reliance back then as well, what they did for calls, the original Reliance Mobile as well. And I think Geo's done the same for data prices. And it's also because a lot of users do not have access to stable and fast internet, right? So you can't really watch at home on your MTNL or your Airtel ADS. You can't really watch anything. So I think the fact that getting 2 Mbps, 3 Mbps speeds on mobile has actually at least enabled them to watch at maybe a 480p, if not 720 60.
Yeah.
So, and I also think YouTube has been pushing content and content creators really well in India as well. So I think it's a mix, and it's a mix of everything, I think, and hence but the most thing is that the viewer base itself has gone up because of all these things.
So why not like why is it only CS which is getting the higher?
So it's easy to understand, right? And CS is basically you pick up a gun, you go and kill people, and that's what it's people say it on chat all the time, right? It's chore police. It's basically that, and that's why I think with the Indian market also specifically, it's very easy to understand, and also I think it's a lot more enjoyable, because
Yeah.
I'll compare it to Dota, right? Even though internationally Dota might have a lot more viewers, it's mostly because it's only the internationals and the minors and the majors, right? It's also where all the Dota players are invested in those tournaments because of their compendiums and etc. So, like I think that's one of the reasons why Dota is so high up there. Uh, of course, I could be wrong, but I do think that that's the thing. Like
I
I
think
just think that we
I
are
think
personally invested
yeah,
in Dota.
both games have their own following. But
Uh,
yeah, CS
so
is definitely. I mean, you see this at Comic Con as well. Like a CS match starts, random people will come and sit down and watch the ESL final or quarterfinal, because it's easier to watch. It's a Sallubai film
It's
when
also no. I mean, I don't agree with that. Yeah, probably yeah, it's action, but I also think that the casting is easier in CS
of
mainly
course.
because you can go
Sure.
hype. Like going hype is not that difficult at all. Actually, you there are so many things that happen in CS. So much happens at one given point, right? That it's you have an opportunity to go hype every single round. Like except maybe the eco rounds, you could go hype in almost every round. While Dota, I mean, going hype is difficult because there are such lull periods in the game, right, where nothing
Yeah.
is happening. Maybe somebody gets caught off guard and three people hunt him down, but
Yeah,
that's not something you go hype for. It's not something like, oh my god, look, he's gonna die. Like that isn't hype. In
Yeah.
CS, you can build the hype much easier, and I
yeah.
also think like CS, and simple as that, CS is way easier to understand because I remember back in the international, right, back when it just started. I was wondering myself, why the hell does this game have so many viewers on Twitch? And I started watching it, and I was like, Jesus, I can't understand a damn thing. And I have played this game. I do understand the basics of Dota. It is basically point and click, right? Yeah, dig it, Dota, right there. Uh, but yeah, it's basically it's you think it would be easy to understand, but it isn't because
It's
each
not.
hero has a billion items that combinations of
It
items that a
isn't
billion
that
like there's so
they're
much.
all abstract concepts, and they make sense
Yeah.
only in the context of the game and only in the context of those who played Warcraft 3 to some extent. Like, I think I'm going to take this to my next question, and I don't know the Hindi casting. Every
Yeah.
now and then, people on Facebook will make a case for Hindi casting, even on YouTube chat. I've been seeing it a lot on ESL as well. I think Dota cannot be cast in Hindi because they're all such abstract concepts. You can't say Ashcharya Chakit for stunned. I don't think that's the way to go. These concepts are you can't they're abstract. They're not like things that exist in the normal realm of the
Yeah,
universe.
it's
But
it's
Counter
the same
Strike,
thing for.
I think
No, you
Counter Strike.
can't.
You think you can't? I've seen
You can't.
Archie do a good job.
I've seen that as well, but half his words are still in English
Yeah,
because there is no way. I mean, like, come on, what are you gonna call a highway? What is a highway in Hindi anyway?
absolutely.
There's like like whatever the word is for highway in Hindi, you're gonna say that like maybe it's cache, right? The map. You'd be like, what is mid as well? You can't really say mid A, B, and highway and like any of the
Madhyam,
map call outs.
Madhyam,
Yeah, like exactly. You can't madhyam mein, like it just makes no sense, right? Like or beach mein or whatever. It makes
right?
no sense
No,
in
but
like so.
that
A lot of the words still have to be English, and I
I
think
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean,
I don't.
the two ways this is done actually. If you look at in the Philippines, uh, casting in Tagalog is really popular, and they mix up Tagalog and English. Not that they mix up words; they actually take a break and segue from language to language. And I think all the Filipinos stand by their Tagalog casters. We got
So,
Russian casters for Dota, but I just don't see Hindi happening. And even if it
so
does,
I'll tell you.
should it be
I'll tell you
Hindi?
why. So I'll tell you why I don't see Hindi happen. Why at least I don't have any plans to make the Premiership available in Hindi. It's simply we might do it for fun, maybe on National Hindi Day or whatever, which we have done in the past. But we're not going to really do it as a second stream. We're not going to do an English stream and a Hindi stream, because one, production it makes your life hell. Secondly, it's just I think most Indians nowadays, and especially our viewer base, which is predominantly from the 13 to 35, right, anywhere between that age group, I think all of them can speak English and can speak it very well, or at least can understand English really well. Because I'm on the flip side of the coin. I can understand Hindi and Gujarati and even Kachi really well, but I cannot and even Sindhi actually, but I cannot really speak it really well. So I think like especially the 13 to 35-year-olds, especially the youth is they understand English perfectly well, and that's why we would just stick to English. And it's more of a global language, right? So and that's why like you see schools teaching you English, and you don't see South Indian schools teaching you Hindi necessarily. They're teaching you English. So even if doing Hindi casting, we could be alienating the entirety of South India just because they don't like Hindi.
And that's it. Adi is an anti-national. The BJP will be paying him a visit tomorrow. But yeah, I agree with you. It isn't the
So, I
universal.
mean, I don't think it's anti-national at all. I think even BJP is themselves. If you are making it political, right? I think they themselves are pushing English. So
Okay, fair enough.
so I mean, like, I just think that it's not it. English definitely has a bigger viewer base in India than Hindi, because specifically because we have a lot of other regional languages,
You,
and most South Indians I know are terrible at Hindi. So
yeah. It is actually that simple. I'm not kidding, Adi. We tried doing Hindi cast back in the day. We did it for a while in Dota, long, long, long time ago. It didn't really spike our viewership in any way. Uh, but
it dropped probably.
um, I didn't drop too significantly either. I think people were there just for the lulls. Um, we bought
You
in.
wait, Vivek, you did Hindi casting.
Not
This
me.
don't
Not me,
rely on.
Nishant. Nishant, even
I don't
more.
even think Nishan can
th-
do
That's
Hindi casting.
equal sacrilege, but yeah, he did.
No.
Uh,
No, man,
yeah,
could you just imagine Blade trying to cast in Hindi?
I
No, but
can't.
I honestly think that casting in regional languages is going to pick up eventually. Like, I mean, I'm
e-
assuming that one day the audience in India will be enough so that every region, like, I mean, there are casters for catering to every kind of demographic.
6 years from now.
Yeah, but the problem with that is you have to start building the audience from now. It just
I also think 6 years from now, that's the case, right? Everyone will be speaking English or at least understand English. So there won't be a need for regional casting. At least I'm talking about the esports audience.
E-
maybe not like.
I mean, yeah, let's hope India progresses at that rate. I'm still waiting on the metro.
I mean, I still think there will be a demand for it. Like, there
It's,
will be
it's
people
your
tuning
fault
in.
for living in South Bombay, as not living in South Bombay.
Okay, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think there could be a demand. I think there are a lot of streamers on YouTube that solely speak in regional languages or Hindi, and they have a lot of viewership.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the other thing which I would like to touch into as well, because I think that we've seen that with the viewership as well of streamers, right? You see, I mean, I'm gonna put this. This is gonna be really terrible, and I'm just gonna say it outright as well. You've seen some big names, and I won't name them, just abusing on stream. Like you know who I'm talking about, basically.
Yeah,
And they're just abusing on stream. They're just doing bakchodi, right, on stream, and that that engaging an audience, like an audience getting engaged by that is just absolutely disgraceful, to be honest. Like, I think you're basically fine. I understand that there's a roadies crew out there, a roadies crowd out there, who prefer that sort of bullshit. But them getting more viewers than the actually skilled players in the scene, I think that's the real the calamity
but
of
Adi, I mean, like
this.
streaming is entertainment, right? It's not just your gameplay. People tune in for
I
that.
agree. I
And that,
agree. I
that's true
agree.
for any form of art, though. Like, you don't see Oscars getting like a lot of views. You see Salman Khan getting a lot of views. That's just how the world is. And I'm okay
Yeah,
with
I
that.
they're the Sallubais. People like them. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I believe that Amir will come and he'll push everybody outside their comfort zone. But he's yet to come in Indian streaming, and I don't know. People enjoy it. I don't tune in for those kind of
Yeah.
streams. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
You know
I
what?
have I have tuned into a stream, right? I'm like watching something or the other, right? And I see 800 viewers or like maybe 500 viewers, and I'm like, oh, this guy must be good. And you go in, and he's just saying BC, MCs, whatever, just abusing the fuck out of everyone in the
S-
stream, and even his chat. And if that's acceptable and that's entertaining, can you imagine your father walking in? Like, even if you're all grown up, right? Can you imagine how embarrassing that is? And I like to watch, like, I have this massive 50-inch screen in front of my bed. All right. It's literally like 6 feet away from me. And that's where I watch everything. That's where I watch my CS. That's where I watch my streams, whatever. That's where I watch my movies, TV shows, etc. Can you imagine my dad walking in, and there's a stream going on my screen, and somebody's just abusing the fuck out of everyone? Like, I don't think that's good quality. I don't think that's this thing. And I think the Indian audience will eventually catch on to it and become smarter. But for now, yeah, unfortunately, streamers are riding this wave
but
of
uh,
bakchodi.
Yeah, they are, but I think the internet subculture is like that itself, right? You see Sadokist and Henry
Yeah.
G, they kiss each other every time they get a chance, and there's Sadokist and Henry G. So, and this was
There was a bigger, meaningful way that started. That started because of November and their goals for their donation goals. That's how the first kiss actually happened, right? And now they've made it into a joke, but they didn't do it just to attract people, right? It
right.
was just a thing. Like
Uh,
you donate $50,000. Like the donation goal is $50,000. Once you've done that, we'll kiss on stream, and that's fine, and that's fine. They don't now they use it as a joke, but you don't see them abusing.
Right.
You don't see
I
them,
I think I'll put it like this. There's a viewership for everything. It's just that when your humor isn't very nuanced, you just resort to saying penchod with that twang because you haven't put in much effort. I honestly don't know which streamers are these referring to, but that's okay. People like that. People like that. They're tuning in. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, content is always going to be subjective. There's no ultimate decision on it any point. Like you can go on and
okay.
I just typed it to you, whoever's
Okay,
referring to.
I saw it. I saw it. I will not comment. I am not a commenter on CS:GO India. I don't have a place in any of this. I'm just
No, like,
yeah, but yeah,
I have become a lot more diplomatic
it's
ever
it's
since joining
it's
ESL
funny,
India.
Adi. I thought you were referring to this guy.
Yeah, him too.
Okay.
Him
like, can
too.
we not have a private conversation?
You can
Sorry.
see
What's
it
the
as
point?
well.
I know, but like this is for the viewers, right? When it's not
Yeah,
a,
guys.
you can
Hey,
always do it
So
on our
like, I'm just
Discord.
being diplomatic so that ESL India or Nodwin or Nazara by extension does not get blamed for any of my views
yeah.
represented here because they are all my own. Here's my disclaimer, guys.
Oh, okay, guys.
These views are
Zero
my own.
accountability.
I,
Zero
Yeah.
accountability.
I have to give a disclaimer as well. Nodwin is an investor in AFK Gaming, and I don't know how that affects my views, but I've just been completely honest so far. Just giving that disclaimer, so you know my views are my own. They're not my company's, or they're not Nodwin's.
They'll never be also.
They'll never be. I don't know why I'm on payroll. I think it's because I make tea and coffee for half of them. But yeah. Um,
My AFK gaming. I wish you could come here and make tea and coffee for Nodwin. It
isn't
would
he
be
called?
nice.
Isn't
Somebody.
he called Anoop?
Why would
Sorry.
Anup make tea
Just
and
joking.
coffee for me?
Jokes.
No, we
Uh,
do have a guy, but he puts so much sugar in there that you would get diabetes in one cup.
I know that guy. I know that guy.
Yeah.
I come. I mean, so those of you, some of us, we go to the Nordbin office just before the LAN, the qualifiers take place. Me and Blay will sneakily move into the pantry and make ourselves tea. And there'll be this bag of milk just lying in the fridge. There'll be sugar lying around and lot of gear. I think the biggest temptation for any human being when they walk into the Nordbin office is to not walk out with gear.
Yeah, that's the most difficult thing to do, definitely.
SSDs, headphones, 1080 Ti's.
Nah, we don't have so many. All the 1080 Ti's have gone into our production PCs now.
Okay,
Like they're not lying around
I was
anymore.
just joking with the 1080 Ti. I didn't know there are any. I've never seen them. I've just seen headphones and SSDs.
Production at the quality that we do is not cheap.
Absolutely.
It's not cheap. So,
Yeah. Um, I think you brought up streamers. I brought up the Facebook community. I'm asking you this question because for the Dota 2 community, the requirements are somewhat different, or what we look for is somewhat different. But if there's something you could ask of from the community, what would it be? Are you if like for
Dota.
example, I'm a CS:GO community member. What can I do for Indian esports? Because everybody says भाई तू बस बोलता रहता है what do you do for Indian esports? I do this for Indian esports. Everybody is like I'm doing this for Indian esports. What can an average man in CS:GO India do for Indian esports?
So, I mean, first I'll take this to Dota firstly. First of all, an average person can take part. Because unfortunately, I don't know, like maybe you can answer this question. Why do you think the numbers, the registration numbers of Dota teams have gone down? Why have actually, it's not just the registration numbers. Why have the sheer amount of teams and players itself in India has dropped off? Have you noticed? And why do you
Huh.
think that is?
I can
I
take
think
this
I
question, but yeah,
I mean
Gambit
I
go.
guess the clear answer is it's because the scene is very top heavy. Like people know that there's no way in hell they're beating, so they don't bother trying, which is a bad attitude to have in the first place. But
Right.
I mean, but you could still win some money, right? It's not like, say, at least in the Premiership, even if you end up fifth, you're still gonna be up in almost getting a
So,
lakh, right?
Adi,
So,
there are like fundamental differences between a Dota 2 India member and a CS:GO India member. Firstly, a Dota 2 India member is a very calm, logical person. He's actually
hmm
like that, okay? He doesn't give a damn if you say anything about me being banned. Firstly, we don't have this concept. I sit on both groups, okay? Dota 2 India. If I come on Dota 2 India and say X player is shit, nobody's gonna care. Like there
hmm
will not be 300 comments fighting over X player.
so, but I think isn't that a negative?
It is. We are a very quiet.
Yes.
We are a quiet rash. I don't know if you're rational, but we're a quiet community.
I mean,
Um,
you're definitely not rational. You're playing Dota 2, so.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're rational, we'd all be playing League. But uh, I'm joking. But like everybody, I don't know. Everybody keeps to themselves. There isn't. And the thing is, I think the other thing is, so we've been casting at AFK for a while. Um, we had consistent viewers earlier on. Uh, I think a lot of those people have just stepped away from
No,
Dota.
I still don't. I mean, the viewership is
We've
going
never.
up, by the way. Like I said,
Yeah, it
Dota
has.
viewership is going up.
It has, but it's also the game. It's also the community in India. Why are people not taking part? Because I think people don't have the motivation to go and excel competitively in Dota because it is really hard. So I think the fundamental difference between CS:GO at ESL and Dota 2 at ESL is that four teams or at least three teams can compete at the top in CS:GO. In Dota 2, it isn't like that. And when
It's
a new team
it's one or is it
emerges,
two?
it's two. When a new team emerges, there's some sort of coalition, they join, the competition is cut because there's a better money to be made by just joining your competition. Or there's a better
It's
chance
also
of
the other problem of this is you're also saying that there aren't so many good enough players in Dota as well in India.
there are.
yeah,
No, no.
also it's harder to form teams in Dota
The
because
the 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 difference
skill
between
brackets.
the difference between the best and the next best is very high.
That's true. That's
So then
So
definitely
see,
true.
see, there you go. So what the community, at least in Dota, can do is get better at the game and form teams and sign contracts with each other so that you stick together and nobody can poach you and ruin your team and try to win. To be
uh,
honest, because I've seen CS teams do that as well,
Adi,
right?
we know about contracts in Indian esports, man. They don't happen. Uh,
Yeah.
we but
I mean,
yeah,
it
okay. I
takes
think I'm
yeah.
gonna answer your question. Competition is coming. Young blood is coming, and we need a lot more young blood that can uh, be legit competition. It's coming.
And also, yeah, so now getting back to your first question, right? Like about the community and what they can do, right? The main thing is the first and foremost thing what you can do is get everyone aware of esports in general, whichever game it is you like. It could be Clash Royale, it could be CS, it could be Dota, it could be Arena of Valor, it could be PUBG, it could be any of these esports, right? You need to get people aware and you need to get people watching and you need to get people talking and supporting, especially the Dota scene. I think the whole Indian CS:GO and the CS:GO India masala, right? I think it's amazing for the community.
It
Yes, we
is.
have to moderate it heavily as well because of the simple ma behan ki galis, but you have to heavily moderate it, but it's good, right? At least people are arguing, and that means that there people are forming allegiances, like how you would to your Delhi Daredevils or to your Mumbai Indians and to your Chennai super
Absolutely.
scammers,
I
whatever.
think I think this
Uh,
is where I'm going to cut you off because it's something Shaunak wanted to bring up. Uh, uh, the Dota 2 players have not been managing their brand
Stepped
as
up,
well.
yeah. They have, I think they've done a very, very subpar job of managing their brand. And I actually think some of the top players in Dota, they kind of kill the scene by not promoting enough rivalry or not promoting enough competition. They're just super nice to each other all the
mhm.
time. They're just like
Yeah, I think
genuine.
I agree with that. Right? I miss the old Crowley. Like Crowley's become diplomatic now for the most part. I don't see him being that asshole that he used to be and riling shit up,
I think
and that's
Yeah.
disappointing as well. And I think, of course, there are contractual requirements with his organization. I'm wondering,
True.
which might have something to do with that. But of course, you have to have an air. You have to have an air of professionalism around you. But you also have to
Have a
there has to be an
voice, have a
edge. Yeah, there needs
personality,
to be an
not
edge. Yeah, and
not a voice.
I don't think this is just the Dota teams, by the way, Shanak. I think that even Counter Strike teams are not very good at it. Brutality obviously stands out because
Definitely.
and like Venom alone is, but yeah.
Okay, Adi, you hung. I can hear you, but your video's frozen.
Thanks for pointing out your sweat patch, by the way. Like you pretty much that's pretty.
Adi's video's frozen. I Adi, can you hear us? I think. I hope somebody is taking screen caps of every time Adi freezes. This is quite
I am, I am. Don't
fascinating.
worry, I am.
It is getting late as well. Okay, Adi's
Yeah,
back.
okay, I'm back. I'm back. Yeah. I'm
S-
back on 4G now. Screw Gurgaon internet.
So CS teams, you were saying.
Yeah, so I don't. I think even CS teams are not really good at it. I think they need to improve as well, because like, other than brutality, I don't think other teams have done a very good job at promoting their brand. Only maybe Entity has done a good job. That's because of the amount of money they've pumped into it as well, right?
But wait,
Because of the teams they buy.
has entity done a good job? Do you think?
I don't think so.
At least
Do you
with
think the
awareness, I think they do have a lot of likes and things like that. But yeah, they haven't created a brand. Yes, it's not like brutality. It's not like where somebody says yes, you go to brutality immediately, right?
absolutely?
Yeah, that's definitely not created. But I think they're doing a good job. They're doing a slow job at it, not a good enough job, but they're still doing a decent job, let's say, at
What can a
promoting
player
themselves.
do to promote their brand? I mean, you were a player. Do you think streaming is something they should look at? Because
Yeah, so
I think a lot of Indians would like to see high skill CS being streamed.
yeah, I agree. So Sai, when he was streaming, it was actually great. He had a lot of viewers. He was probably matching the brutality stream in viewers as well. And sometimes he was even higher. And that's again, but the problem with that was even he was smart about it. He knows that he's playing great Counter Strike, but he always had two idiots playing with him who were doing bakchodi basically, and that's why his viewers were kind of high. And I don't think that's the best way to build your brand as a professional, because tell me, what kind of brand would want to work with you if you are giving maa behan ki galis on stream?
Yeah, that
Like, can you imagine if like saying the F word is one thing, right? But uh, going straight to a word like motherfucker or whatever is a completely different tangent, right?
yeah
And do you think like HyperX or Omen or anyone would ever work with somebody who speaks like that?
yeah
So
it
that's the
is
problem. And I think the viewership themselves have to improve themselves, and they need to look at quality content and not at crap content. And I think then content creators can focus on making quality content.
right.
But yeah, I understand that there is a lack of brand awareness and brand building as well by teams. And the only way to get better at it is, I mean, take a leaf out of Venom's book, man. That's it. Just ape brutality, because nobody does it better right now in Indian esports. Even I don't even think
True.
the Premiership. I don't even think we with the ESL India can do as good a job as Venom does.
Wow.
True.
Wow.
Like,
I think one day, 10 years from now, when Indian esports and a case study is being done on it, in Harvard Business Review, there'll be Venom's name. A case
yep.
study of how to manage your brand. And some
Yeah,
kids
No,
in
exactly. I
but
our,
mean, and
yeah,
that's the thing, right? Brutality. I don't think you'll ever find anybody abusing Venom or talking badly about him, while like, or talking badly about brutality. Yes, there will be fanboys of other teams who will be like, brutality sucks, whatever. But they're not gonna be like, they're not gonna be giving Ma Behen ki galis, so to speak, to brutality
it is a
as a brand.
largely bulletproof brand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, and I think it's also it depends on the way he's built it, right? That's the main thing. He's built it by being a good person and
yeah.
not doing wrong, not building like not building the brand by abusing people, basically.
which he
Yeah,
genuinely is,
it's
by the
like
way.
this family vibe kind of thing going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I like that.
Sanskari.
But you know what? I think that the problem here is that like viewership, it's going up, but I think it'll stagnate. Like nobody comes to watch it because it's ESL India Premiership, or nobody goes to watch something because it's a certain tournament. I think people go to watch because their teams are playing, or they know they're expecting something good coming out of their team. I think
Actually,
that
yeah,
it's not just true for esports; it's just true for every sport around the globe. I mean, I can watch squash, which is a good sport. I play squash, but I don't watch it because I don't know any of the players, and I know there are good tournaments happening, but I don't follow it because I don't know any of the players, and that's the problem. The people have to
Yeah,
people are
I
playing
think
branding.
Yeah, I think if the players actually brand their, like, if they promote their teams better and get a fan following, it will definitely help the viewership. I agree.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, nobody. I think what Shonak was saying, and his voice was getting cut, is that nobody tunes in for the name of the event. I don't think, at least as far as Dota
I
tournaments
don't
are.
agree with that. I don't agree
But
with that. I
okay,
think a lot
so
of
we've got 19 majors and minors, right? In Dota
yeah.
put together. It isn't sure. Like there is a loyalty to tournament organizers because the global Dota scene is somewhat bigger. Like some people like PGL, some people don't like ESL. But ultimately everybody tunes in if there's good Dota to watch. If there's garbage Dota, nobody's gonna tune
No,
in.
but that's I don't agree with that also. I think
But
that the
Adi,
ESL
would you
brand, the
watch
PGL brand,
would if I ran a tournament with PGL level production and I had people Gold Nova threes playing each other, would you tune in?
I would tune in, but I wouldn't stay. So that's the
I
difference.
don't think you tune
So,
in because I don't
no,
know.
I see. I If you gave me AFK Gaming's name, right, I would tune in. If you give me an ESL's name, a PGL's name, if you give me a DreamHack's name, then I would tune in definitely just out of curiosity,
Okay,
not just because of the players. But I would like
you
I
would,
wouldn't stay.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
right.
you're right.
I wouldn't stay. I would maybe stay for the death segment, which looks amazing. I would stay for, maybe one or two rounds, and then I would realize that holy shit, I can play better than these guys. Forget this, and then I would
True,
move
true,
away.
but
That's
you're a
true.
very aware consumer who knows DreamHack, who wants to watch death segments.
I
True for
I
everyone,
also
for majority.
like I said, yeah, of course, I watch desk segments mainly because I want to
Yeah,
learn as well from
exactly.
other bigger organizers as well, like from our international partner as well, right? Like even I specifically watch ESL a lot, and I have actually tried to make my desk segments on the Premiership not exactly like ESL. I don't want them to be so professional and so to the point, like as if it's being broadcast on TV. So I do want the little bit of bakchodi, so to speak, there. I do want a little bit of banter. That's the word I was looking for. I like banter, and I like the DreamHack sort of desk,
Yeah,
and hence I have gone for more of that thing. And I can take their name now because it doesn't matter. MTG owns everything, ESL, DreamHack, everything. So their DreamHack is our partner as well.
Okay,
true.
So yeah, I mean, so that's the main
but
thing, right? I think
I think it's this simple, right? Like if you ran ESL, if you had multiple properties, what would you stream? Starter Cup or Masters?
of course, Masters. We are
Exactly.
streaming only the Masters, correct?
Yeah, I mean ultimately it is. I think in India specifically, people are already tuning into the Masters, watching Entity and 2VZ and calling them silvers, which I think is stupid.
But that's also, I don't think you should ever give a damn about Indian
Absolutely,
chat. I
I
think
don't,
they're
I
all
don't. I just a disclaimer.
I think, yeah, I know, I think they're all trolls. Like 80% of chat is trolls, and
Yeah,
they
sure.
like trolling, fine. I have nothing against them. But like Fett had called me last night. He was pretty distraught about how he was being treated on CS:GO India as well.
Arre, re, re, re,
And
re, re.
I was like, dude, you just gotta like ignore. Like, so what I do actually, what I have been doing for the last year and a half, right, has basically, anyone irks me, right, or anyone cuts me, or anyone talks badly to me or wrongs me, right, I would write them an email, but I would send it to myself. And the same thing on Facebook. I generally, even now, I write a reply, but then I delete it. I get it out of my system, and that's about it. Because there's no point engaging trolls. Like, have you like go to Reddit/India, like, on r/India, right? It's a clusterfuck of circle jerkers. So
That's
I
just Reddit, right?
yeah, I mean, no, honestly, like a lot of Reddits are really good, but r/India specifically is filled with circle jerkers and trolls, and I think that's the problem with anonymity online, right? I think everyone believes they're invincible and they can talk whatever shit they want, and good that Aadhaar has to be linked with everything, because now you will be tracked wherever you're chatting from.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I guess Archie started off as a streamer as well, so it's kind of natural, but it's
Yeah.
by him that he looks at chat and he.
Yeah.
No, so Mamba did not start off as a streamer. He looks at chat way too much,
Okay.
and I don't think he should as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he
Eh,
So
doesn't
this is
react to
whenever
it.
he does.
he
If you
does.
notice
Sometimes in
him
his
while he's
cast.
casting, there's
Yeah.
a pause, there's a downer, there's an upper.
Yeah.
You can tell,
Yeah.
and So, and whenever I'm casting, I just ignore the chat and then I look at it later for, like, and luckily YouTube has top chat replay now as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
So you look at it later and see whatever. Of course, it's like with a warning to yourself that this is going to be fucked up. I'm doing an idiotic thing, but if you can handle it, you should do it and take the positive feedback at least, or even take the
absolutely.
negative feedback positively,
Yep.
but don't
I
engage.
I guess the best comments come when Adi's on camera though. Most of it is Adi's
Uh,
head is brighter than my future type of comment.
Yeah, that was Fett actually who said that first, and then that stuck. And I think the other one also stuck was why is he bald? Question mark is on the first day of
Yeah.
the Premiership. I was like,
And
okay, like he's bald because he doesn't have hair. Like, is that a
why is he
question? Like,
bald? Yeah. The other one is
like,
why is Vagish wearing sunglasses? Which I
Oh,
haven't been
this
yeah.
able
So
to
people,
answer.
I'm sorry, Adi. We are going to have the nation wants to know moment, and the nation wants to know why the hell is Vagish wearing sunglasses every day in the studio.
so the thing is, I don't have I don't have a host to replace him with. Is one. Secondly, it's that you do not want to
Uh,
see him without sunglasses.
okay.
Right?
He has an eye
Okay.
problem right now. He has a problem in his right eye, and he will like the problem is that the doctor has said we cannot operate yet. So he's trying medicine which isn't working. So he has to. It's very sensitive to light. It's a cyst. So it's a couple of cysts actually, and it's very sensitive to light. So he cannot get exposed to bright lights. He needs to hide his face basically.
I'd
So
like to see.
I did tell him that let's make it more fun and just put on a pirate patch, but he refuses.
Hmm.
Damn.
Can't believe
I
Wagi
might
is
have
the
to take I might have to take an executive decision and force it upon him. I'll be like, if you
absolutely.
want to be on my show, you better put on that pirate patch. Then it might work. So yeah, let the viewers can let you guys know, and then you can let me know
I
is
think
if you want to see him with a pirate patch
uh,
instead of sunglasses.
I think there's also another executive decision that Dora Chat is asking for. Please replace Vagish on the draft.
So
Uh,
actually, what
I mean,
I
Adi,
have
imagine if you had to do the CS:GO panel with me, and
see the
I called
okay.
dollars gold. I called dollars
I
gold.
think
You'd kill
I
me.
think there is I think there is my there is also a little bit of my fault in there as well. I have not mentioned to Vagish to let your analyst do the talking. So I think the main thing is in CS, if Vagish says something stupid, right, I just make fun of him on camera. Simple as that. And that's my personality, right? I don't think like Zera, she has brilliant knowledge of the game, and I think
Yeah,
she talks complete sense. But I don't think she has the. I've told her this as well. Just cut off Vagish, man. If he's saying something stupid, just tell him, dude, you're making no sense. This is what you. This is what this is actually being picked for, or something. Like just cut him off. I've
yeah.
actually told her that
So
as
so
well,
in
but
short,
she refuses to do that.
you indulge Vagish on the CS:GO panel. Angela is indulging him on the Dota 2
No,
panel.
no, Vagish, sorry, Angela indulges him. That's the problem. I do not indulge him. I do not
Okay.
encourage him. And
Okay, it's
unfortunately, I
basically
think
a
Angela,
dynamic issue.
yeah, and I think they've just started. This is the first time ever that
Yeah.
they've actually
True,
been
true,
on a desk together as well.
Yeah.
So
true,
of
true.
course there are going to be some quirks. They are going to get to know each other's personalities a little more, right? And
Pe-
it's not that easy. So
People
it will
really
get
enjoy
better for you
Angela, by
guys.
the way. I'm sure you know.
Yeah, of course. Grill.
Yeah, it's smart grill. That's what they
Yeah,
enjoy.
of course. No, like I said, like she knows what she's talking about, and that's why we've hired her, right? It's not gonna. We wouldn't put up a girl on stage just because she's a girl,
Yeah,
and that's the main thing. Like it could be sexist in a way or not sexist in a way. It could be feminist or sexist. This point of view. So disclaimer: don't get offended. But yeah, like I think if just like how having a host, say maybe last year in Taiwan Excellence, right? You were there. The woman host was just screaming on the mic during a game, right? She has no idea about what's going on and that the people are actually interested in the game. Having a host just because she's good looking or because you know she has tits is it's pointless. Like I don't think that's the way to go.
absolutely.
Uh, and I think of course like people appreciate it when a girl especially knows, like, because it's such a hard field to get into, right? Gaming for women.
Yep,
So like she's like a shining beacon out there
right.
for other women as well. And I think it's great that they're enjoying her on camera, and they think that she knows what she's talking about and she's talking sense, things like that.
Yeah. Got like two last questions to shoot over at you. It is running late.
Yep.
I'm sure you had enough of us. I think we're going to move on to our last two questions. Uh, PUBG. It's the
Yep.
buzzword. Cryptocurrency, blockchain, PUBG. Does does ESL India see themselves doing PUBG? Nobody's yet figured out one universal way as to how it would be done. Do you guys have any ideas how observing and
So,
casting should be done?
so I have already spoken to Akshat about this as well, and a little bit to Gautam as well. Uh, we will be doing PUBG in the future, but I'm not going to give you a date. It might not even be this year, although we are hoping it could be this year. We will do PUBG in the future. It will be the first tournament, may be only online as well. But what I like observing and casting for it, I've already talked about this as well. It's a nightmare, right?
Right.
So that's the thing. Finding quality. Like actually, this is one thing I wanted to touch on, and I forgot to reply to you in the
Yeah.
email as well. I will bring this question to you as well because
Okay.
I have this problem personally as
Should.
well. Like while in work, but I'll finish the whole PUBG thing as well, and it will transition into that.
Mhm.
The whole thing about PUBG, right, is like we will need 4 or 5 observers, and of course just 2 casters. But we will need 4 or 5 observers, and they will need to know what the game is about, and like they will have to be good at the game. They will have to be like me, or they will have to be a sick warrior, or they will have to be a grim. I don't know if you know these names, but they are
I
the
do.
top
I
10
do.
I
in
do. I do.
SEAFPP. So I play with these guys as well. I play with Sick Warrior, and because of Sick Warrior, us playing together, we've carried each other to the top 10 charts in SEA FPP as well, and squad FPP I'm talking about. And so these guys, we're gonna have to have people like this, but they're obviously gonna want to play, right? Now we need to find people who know the game to observe, which is going to be very difficult. So it's that's why we don't want to do it right now. And I specifically don't want to do PUBG because I think it's too early. I don't think it's an esport yet.
True.
And I
No
think that
point.
I want to let PGL and I want to let that ESL Global figure out the settings. I want to let PUBG Core itself figure out the settings and what players
True.
prefer, and then we'll just copy them. Simple as
True.
that.
I think that's a good start.
Yeah.
So there's
No.
no point pushing it right now, like
Absolutely.
how Nvidia or Gaming Central and whatever. Gaming Central? No, what? That's an international
Gaming.
site. Gaming Monk, sorry. And these guys are pushing PUBG too soon, I think. And it's and I
Yeah.
played in one of Gaming Monk's tournaments. It was the most. It brought me back to 2004, basically, to
Homely.
unorganized CS.
Yeah. I
No,
think
to
even internationally,
unorganized.
PUBG is not at a place where it should broadcasted like that. Like watching it internationally, like even PGL doing it, it's not ideal. I would.
Yeah, I think I also think PGL's mistake right now is they don't have 2 casters who are really good with each other. Like they gel really well because PUBG is boring in its bits, and keeping the people, uh, you know, engaged
Yeah.
throughout those lull periods, right? The lull periods are much longer than Dota as well. So it will be very difficult and also PUBG itself has its own like its spectator issues as well, observer
Right.
issues as well. So it's too early. It's just too early, and we won't do I don't think PUBG can do justice to the ESL brand as of now. So I don't
True.
want to bring our quality down by doing that sort
Absolutely.
of game so soon.
Yeah.
No.
You
But there
aren't
you
a
go.
you
That
aren't
is
a
my thing on
variety streamer. You're ESL. So I mean, when the game's ready and when
Yeah.
there is a form to it and when there's some sense to how it's been run and played, we'll probably see
Mhm.
PUBG from ESL. I'd love to
Exactly.
see. I'd love to see a corporate tournament though. Uh, uh, I don't know.
Unfortunately, there aren't too
It's
many
just
players. Huh?
it's just my personal this, but okay.
The problem
I
with a
Vivek,
corporate
we are not
league would be
corporate.
like AFK would have 2 teams, Nordwid would have 1 team, like ESL India would have 1 team, So Strong would have 3 teams, and that's it.
I'm joining So Strong. I
No,
I
you can't. You'll have to quit AFK then.
no, not doing that.
To get hired by So Strong, that's more important.
That's harder. Yeah. Neither of those two are happening.
So
Uh,
yeah, I mean, so I
what
was
was
gonna
your question?
transition this
Yeah.
into so I was gonna transition this, right? Finding the talent in PUBG is gonna be difficult, and I think also finding good talent in India itself for any of the other games is very difficult right now
Very
as well.
difficult.
True,
Very
Because
difficult.
I don't know of any Dota casters other than the three of you. Like,
The third is a recent discovery.
yeah, exactly. Like
Who's
other than
I've pretty
Floki
much
and
stopped. So.
who's being
yeah,
groomed very hard. So it
yeah. So yeah.
yeah, shoot.
So that's the thing, right? There are three Dota casters in India, according to me at least. If there are more, please guys
Four.
send me a
Four.
Facebook message. Who's the
Four.
fourth?
He's kind of tied up with LXG, but Kiran
Yeah,
Shadeslayer.
yeah. Okay, so
I
that's
don't
the
know.
problem. But
I don't
he's
know.
not.
Yeah.
I agree. So I did look at him as well earlier when I was having some issues with talent, but he is tied down with LXG. And secondly, he's a jack of all trades caster. Like he does every game, and I want specialists, and I think specialists are lacking.
So I mean, look, I can name all the okay. Well, what's your question? I can name. There are two more.
So
Alien
that's
Edge
my thing.
has a bunch.
Do you think so? That's what I'm saying. I don't think the Alien Age again. I don't think they're up to the mark.
Okay.
That's the problem. I don't think there are casters out there in India, and I think there's a massive requirement, by the way, for it.
Right.
Like Blay was the best caster in India because he was the only caster in CS:GO in India for over 2 years.
You
We've
got
only seen Fed come in a year ago. We've only seen Mamba come in a year ago. We've only seen me come in, even that I still focus as an analyst. And I will be casting for the Premiership this starting on the 25th of April as well. But
who's sitting out? Mamba?
so yeah, Mama's going to be busy with his exams,
Okay.
and that's what I'm saying. So I don't have casters, and that's why I prefer being an analyst. But I know I can do a good job casting as well, so I will be
So
casting.
I'll
Uh,
I'll tell you what the deal
but
is,
that's
Adi.
it. In CS there are four. In Dota there are three, according to me, and there is Shadeslayer who does all the games. So fine, there are like 5 in CS and 4 in Dota,
let's call him
and
variety
that's
caster.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so that's it. There are 8. That my talent pool right now. Okay, fine. Let's add Angela to it as well. There are 9. My caster talent pool is 9. And why do you think there is such a lack of talent right now?
um uh
Because
I
there's a
can
market for it.
can I so like there is a there, okay, so I mean, first and for all, everybody who's tuning in, you should hear this as a loud invitation to take a shot at casting. Um,
Yeah. Also, like,
AFK's been looking for
sorry.
casters extremely badly as well. But yeah, carry on. What were you saying?
Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, even that's the same thing. Like, any viewers, right? If you want to cast, you can just email. You can just find me on Facebook, right? It's /official Adi. I'm sure you'll include the link in the description. Uh, you'll find my link in the description. Talk to me. You can get my permission. You can get our permission to cast the challenger games or the starter games, whatever you want to cast. We will give you the permission required for it, and do it so that we can discover more talent. Simple
So,
as that.
Adi, like I think there are a couple of factors. Firstly, a caster is not made overnight. It is a grooming
I
process.
agree.
There is a
I agree.
baseline where some people should start. Um, I think I think it's a way. I also like if I look at casters across the world, they have some. It's not mandatory, but they have some origin in performing. Even Archie, even Blay, even Toby the Dota caster, even Sadokish, whose father was a radio jockey. It's not a must, but they come from some sort of association with performance. Either way, I don't know what the theory is. I'm searching for casters. If AFK is looking to groom casters as well. We want to work with them. We know nobody's born a caster. It takes trial and error, and even you're still never perfect. Like it's a constant growth. The problem is people aren't trying, and the people who are trying. Uh, aren't that good. So
And that's the problem,
and
right? I don't think
hold
you
on.
need to.
It's not
Yeah.
about good. Like I think anyone can be worked with. I honestly believe that. I honestly believe anyone can become a shoutcaster. You don't know English, I'll teach you English. But people don't want to give in the time.
Uh,
People don't want to take the
I
effort.
don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I
I
don't think
I
you. I
think
don't think you can be taught to be clear and articulate. I think that comes from your upbringing to an extent. It comes from your education. I think that's the major problem. If you want to be casting in English, the reason I can cast without any sort of background in
yeah
production or in whatever in the
yeah.
arts, right, is because I was lucky enough to be a South Bombay snob, right? I was born in South Bombay, and I was surrounded by people who only spoke in English, and they belittled you even back in eighth and seventh and eighth and ninth and 10th grade for making the simplest of grammatical errors, right?
Yeah.
And I think and looking back at it, I think I was fortunate, and I think that's why I can actually speak as clearly as I can right now, and I think that's why my English is as strong as it is right now. I don't say I don't make mistakes. I do make mistakes, but I do make them a lot lesser
But
than I would if I wasn't exposed to them.
so
So I do think it's on education
I
as
think
well.
Adi is also missing like two other factors. I mean, sure, like I get the point on
Fair
English,
enough.
but you have to recognize that you will not make money from casting overnight. You're not good enough to make money from it. You
Yep.
know it's like photography. The first time you pick up your camera, you're not going to click a goddamn freaking masterpiece. You have to click 100,000 bad photos. You have to have hundreds of bad cars. You have to goof up time and time again, and then obviously you get some sort of proficiency. People don't want to give that kind of time. People want very specific things from gaming. What I would, however, suggest you do, and I'm sure this might yield you some people, not just from India, but from Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia as well, is just probably
Um,
put up a post on the ESL Facebook page. I'm sure you'll find people
no,
like,
the problem is no, but we have found people like that. But the problem is visa issues, man. You don't know how difficult it is to get Indian
I agree.
visas for internationals, especially for the South Asia and the Southeast Asia region. Unless you're from like Singapore, you're not gonna get a visa immediately for
Really?
India.
Okay.
Yeah, because nobody, I mean, like, even the embassy understands that, right? Who in their right mind would leave Singapore for India?
Okay.
Like, so they give you the visa immediately, but everywhere else it's really difficult. Like, I mean, I have that problem eventually as well. Portal Esports was invited because of their performance in summer and in fall for
And a
CS:GO.
lot of the
If they
fans
end
are
up in the
tuning in.
top four, yeah, and I agree, but if they end up top four, right, it's going to be absolutely difficult for us to get them visas. The last time we had managed to make it happen was because we had to talk to the Cricket Association and things like that. So, and it still took a month and a half.
Okay. Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I know the Dota team from Pakistan also has issues as well. Um, I think I'm going to move on to my last question. Uh, I think Indian esports is in a really, really good place. There are a bunch of tournaments with a lot of prize money. Cop, I think there's prize money. There's money to be won. Adi, have you frozen or are you? Oh
I
no.
can hear you,
Oh,
but your
okay, I thought you
video is
froze.
frozen.
My video froze. Oh, okay. No, no. I can see you fine. I can see you fine.
Okay, that's fine. Some bug then.
Some bug. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I can
there's
see Shaunak now. I don't know. Anyway,
I'm can't see
No,
me.
all right,
Adi's
go for it.
frozen
Go
for
for
me.
it. Okay.
Shaunak,
Hang
am
on
I
a
okay
second.
for you?
Yeah, you're okay.
Oh, the froze again. Screenshot.
All
Ah,
right,
he's
you're
back.
He's
back.
back.
You're back.
He's back. He's back.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just I think my 1.5 gig data on Geo disappeared.
Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of money in Indian esports. I think ESL has got the ball rolling. Everybody wants to do a 1 crore tournament. It's kind of
Yeah.
become the catchphrase that everybody's looking for. There's a lot of money, uh, and it is after all a bubble. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just
So
waddling around in our mediocrity. Look, ESL is no. I mean, they have no. They have no responsibility as to how Indian esports turns out in the long run. Obviously, us performing internationally would only be good news. But is ESL okay with Indian teams just being in their comfort zone and making money at home, or does ESL want to
so,
push them out of their comfort zone? But
so of course we do want them to improve. We do want them to be able to compete in the Asian scene, right? And we will be making an announcement towards the end of the summer season, which will be quite exciting, and it is in line with that as well. But it's not as of now. It's too early to reveal, and yeah, like I mean, we do want to push them, but also on the flip side, I think the Indian scene is and the viewership and the viewer base is strong enough to support our own little bubble, to our own little region. We don't really need to go out. I think in by the next year, I think there will be so many tournaments, and I think you will make enough money. I think each organization, we'll see a lot more organizations, and I think we'll see a lot more sponsors actually investing money for a change into teams as well, not just hardware sponsorships and things like that, because I think that will happen next year as well. And I think people will be able to make a very decent living of gaming,
Okay.
and just in our little bubble as well,
Exactly.
because
There's a
it's 1.3 billion people, right? And even just and our market, even if it's a niche market, the internet enabled market is closer to 200 million, right?
right.
uh it's it's still a massive market. 200 million is bigger than most countries.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, it's a great it's a great market, it's a great bubble, but does ESL want to expand it? What
uh,
I think I'll put this in with my last question. What does ESL look at itself in India in the next 2 3 years?
See, we're gonna be the best. It's simple as that. I mean, I don't. The thing is, our. I will agree with this. Our PR has been definitely a lot weaker than other organizations,
Okay,
but like especially other new organizations who come out claiming they're the first, they're the best, they're the biggest. You know who the ones I'm talking about. Like, I mean,
of course.
I'll actually name them as well. I'm talking about this purely as my view, by the way. Cobex, right? They've done nothing. They've literally done one tournament last year of 10 lakhs. They've announced 1 crore this year. Great for them. But they've announced only 10, they've only appropriated 10 lakhs of that. All right. And they call themselves the biggest and the best organizer ever the world has ever seen. It's a load of bullshit. They have not proven themselves. They do not have a track record. And it's a little bit of our fault. It's because we have not had our PR at their level. We are not, probably because we've allocated funds towards production and towards improving our quality, right? We've done that. We have not allocated funds towards
PR.
PR and not towards paying a newspaper to do an article. Like, you can tell that it's a fake news article. Like, that's the funniest part. Like, Times of India picking up shit like that is not gonna ever happen, right? Unless it's an advertisement designed to look like a press, like designed to look like an article or a press release. And so maybe, like, of course, what I see from ESL for the next few years is we're gonna focus, at least with the Premiership, as me as the product head of the Premiership, I'm gonna focus more on getting awareness of the ESL brand out there and of the India Premiership brand out there, and proving to people by our actions and not by our words that we're the best. Because, like, by far, I don't think anyone can ever have an argument to how far behind the curve other production or other tournaments are, like any quality of tournaments is compared to us. I think there's a night and day difference. And that's the thing for us. It's a good thing that these the Cobexes and the U ciphers and whatever are coming up. Even if they are catering to another market, it opens up something for us. Like, if we realize that, okay, U cipher caters to the casual market, or whatever, to the MTV market, right, to the Splitsvilla market. Let's add maybe something like that something like that, without jeopardizing our professionalism and without jeopardizing the integrity of esport, and still cater to that market as well. So
Okay.
how we can do that? It helps us. Like, a competitor coming in completely helps us. Like, competition is the best thing ever, right? And the same thing, like with whatever Corbex wants to do, they've announced their PGL partnership as well, right? Whatever they want to do with that, it'll be brilliant for us. It'll push us, it'll drive us to be better. And yeah, so what you can see basically is us getting better than we already are. We're gonna Currently this year, we're focusing on trying to stick to schedules, trying to keep the production top notch, not have the minor hiccups that come with Indian internet, with Indian power, things like that. We want to have LAN tournaments completely organized to the minute, to the minute detail. And there are things that I want to do for the talent, for the players as well, things like that, which makes it a better experience. And even for the crowd, like, make it an experience. Learn from the international events, learn from the best events, and we want to integrate that into our current year. And it's going to be the same thing year over year. We're just going to keep improving. The Premiership, we may change games. We never know. I do see that. I don't know about Clash Royale yet. It does get us the numbers, but it also has dropped off a little bit, maybe because
Hold
of
on.
Arena of Valor and
I,
War.
I, I wanted to ask you this. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's Clash Royale viewership like
Viewership is actually higher than last year. It's probably 3 times as much as last year.
How many people tuned in
And
for Clash Royale?
if it's a good day, if it's a
Like,
good game, maybe 100,
okay.
150, including Facebook and YouTube. Of course, it's nowhere like
Oh,
near the
it,
CS where we go to 1,000 concurrent, right?
yeah.
Uh, it's nowhere like that. But I also know that the community is gonna move on to other mobile games as well.
Did you get more
So
registrations this year for Clash Royale or less?
no, that's what it's lesser.
Okay.
So and that's mainly I'm told that is because of Arena of Valor.
Okay.
So we will look at changing the game. Maybe if Clash Royale has to die, it has to die, right? It cannot be a competitive sport forever. It's the same thing. It's not a CS, right? CS is gonna go on forever. It's simple as that. We know that now because of it's been there since 2000. I don't think it's been here for almost 30 years now, right? It's not gonna die. It's
Yeah.
simple as that. And not 30 years.
20.
97. So it's been here for 21 years. Yeah. So we know CS is not going to die. It's just going to keep getting better. Valve, no matter how much they want to try, they're not going to be able to kill CS. And little dig at Valve there for support us, please. But yeah, like I think that's the main thing. The ESL looking forward is
Getting better
getting better than
in
ourselves,
India.
competing with ourselves. And no, of course, internationally as well. We learn from from the
Uh,
international. We learn from ESL
Hold on,
Global,
I
dude.
have to ask you a question. I know there are other premierships. There are like 7 other premierships.
Yeah,
Are they like, do they cater only to like the immediate region, or
yeah.
country
So
They
do
do.
teams from
yeah.
other parts of the world go
So
to play them?
so what? So there are no specific rules in the premiership in the according to ESL. Any person from any country can take part in any tournament in any country. So even if somebody from USA wants to take part in the ESL India Premiership, they could. I mean, I don't know why they would, because the
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
but they could. There are no rules barring them from taking part. Uh, but yes, of course, it is a national championship, and most of them are inclusive, like the Brazil national championship, or the Italian national championship, or the German Masterchef, right? They're all national championships, and I should mention as well, by the way, the ESL India Premiership is the biggest national championship in the world, by the way,
In terms
as
of
well.
scale or in
In
terms of.
terms of players, in terms of the player base, like the amount of participants, in the terms of viewers that we had on the whole from last year as well, uniques I'm talking about as well. Of course, TV helped us a lot with that, which we don't have this year, but we are looking towards TV again for the fall season. And yeah, so those are our plans basically. We want to improve year upon year and even season upon season like we did last year. I think even if you go back to VODs from July, like from the summer season last year in 2017, then to the fall and then to winter, you would see that we were improving in steps, like, and I think there were quite apparent improvements. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna improve everything that we can that can possibly be put into the budget basically to improve, and we
Okay.
will we will do that.
Okay.
That's
Uh,
our outlook.
Okay, I think this is where we're going to wrap things up. A lot of exciting stuff coming up for ESL. I'm looking forward to TV again in the fall season, and more than anything, I'm looking towards that announcement in the summer. That's the biggest bomb that RB dropped here. Uh, Hopefully, a sign of things to come. Hopefully, we might see teams like Risky come back to the Premiership. But I think,
So there are four of sorry to cut you off. There are four Dubai teams currently taking part in the Premiership Starter Cup CS
okay,
UAE teams. So we might see
Yeah.
them in fall
is
summers,
is
in
Entity
fall
Middle East
masters.
is Entity Middle East there?
They are starting now, yes. So Joshi said they would be starting from Starter Cup 2.
Okay, we've also got a team from Southeast Asia, Detonator, if you've heard of them. They're taking part in the Starter Cup in Dota. So hopefully, I mean, I don't know what gets me interested is
But
to see. Shoot.
but does mean that none of them will come for the Mumbai land, right? All of them will.
Yes, correct. The change I've made to the Premiership this year is simply to promote stability in teams. So if
Okay.
you do win the Challenger 3, right? If you're in the top 4, it's not even that difficult, right? You have to be in the top 4. You can come into the bottom 4 slots of the Masters in the fall. But all we ask is that your core 3 stick together.
Okay.
And this is to promote teams staying together for a longer time, and hence get better as a team and maybe even perform on the international stage.
Yeah, I mean, also it's just a question of integrity. Otherwise, anyone would just
Yeah,
any sport and dogs would just mess around with.
correct.
Yeah, you heard it here. Four teams from Dubai taking part in the Starter Cup. Entity Middle East as well, who, if I'm not mistaken, are sitting out of Delhi. A lot to look forward to in the Mumbai land. But that's it from the three of us for now. Adi, Gambit, any shout outs?
I not really. I would just thank you for having me on the show. That's about it. If I
Okay.
go completely, we do enough sponsor plugs as it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I think the only sponsor plug I can give is hit the subscribe button so you get a notification every time we go live. Uh, but yeah, that's about it. This is Vivek, Adi, and Gambit signing out.